Everyone, Alpha Eagle here again. I hope you're all doing well, and may God bless you all. This is the third part of Just Some Guys' Bad Takes. In the first part, Just Some Guy and the panel claimed that Christians outraged over Jesus being labeled a mutant in the X-Men books and tried to cancel the books. That is a lie. No Christians tried to cancel the X-Men books. In the second part, Just Some Guy in the panel opposed the Florida Parents' Rights in Education bill. They claimed that it was anti-gay. That was another lie. The bill had nothing to do with gays. The bill applied to both sexualities equally. They claimed that it applied to all students. That was another lie. It only applied to third grade and under. And the panel wanted to keep secrets from parents. I don't know why anyone would want to do that. In this third one, the panel talks about left-wing nutjob lunatic human train wreck Ezra Miller. Again, I'd like to say that I have nothing against anyone on the panel. In fact, I pray that they change their views. Also, I edited this stream, so I will give you a link in the description so you can get the full context. Let's hear what they have to say.
So let's talk about Ezra Miller, because there has been so much come out. The man needs help. Wait,
we can't call him a man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They, them. Interesting segue. Okay.
Totally not going to make people that.
Let's not get in trouble for misgendering Ezra Miller.
Right off the bat, they believe in the non-binary false narrative. And when I say they, I mean the panel, a whole group of people, not an individual. It's extremely sad that I have to clarify that. The left claim that they follow the science when they don't even believe in basic biology. There are only two sexes, men and women. There's nothing in between. Some may ask, well, what about intersex people? That is a birth defect. That doesn't make them a third sex. Treating non-binary or intersex people like they are a third sex is like treating people born with 6 fingers on their hand as if they are a different species. Let's treat them as they are. Feminine men or masculine women. If a biological man claims to be a non-binary, then he is just a feminine man. If a biological woman claims to be non-binary, then she is a masculine woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's non-binary. I forgot.
Non-binary, yeah.
Oh my. Okay, I'm going to try my best. Usually when I record a video with somebody that's non-binary, so Ezra Miller or Vita Ayala, something like that, I stick a piece of paper in my hand, and the whole time I'm recording, I've got they in my hand. So I don't mess up, but 9 out of 10 times, I am going to mess up. So apologies ahead of time.
Tristan claims to be politically homeless, but here she is clearly bowing to the far left mob. You can't be politically homeless if you let yourself be bullied by left-wing radicals. And you are no longer an individual if you bend the knee, follow the crowd, and lick the boots of the far left the way Tristan does here. If you completely change the way you have spoken for decades to bend the knee to left-wing bullies, it shows how weak you are. And the fact that you are willing to change the way you have done things for your whole life just to appease the smallest number of people out of fear that you might be called a bigot, it is extremely cowardly and pathetic. The panel discussed what Mr. Miller has done. We all know what crimes he has committed, so I skipped that part.
Well, didn't they have the same problem with Ben Affleck?
Yeah, Ben Affleck.
He was drinking the entire time while he was doing the filming. He was going through his issues with Jennifer Gardner and his marriage, and so he was kind of self-destructing while they were making, I think it was Batman versus Superman.
Just Some Guy compares Ben Affleck getting drunk to Mr. Miller committing several crimes, including physical assault on people. Now, wow. That is not even close, Just Some Guy. How can you make such a terrible comparison? Getting drunk is not the same as choking people.
And just real quick, for anyone who's watching, I unlisted my stream and turned off the comments since I'm here and I'm conversing. I don't have anyone watching the chat, so I'm not going to watch the chat and try to talk at the same time. I literally can't multitask like that.
That's why it's slowed down. I was like, why?
Yeah. So I shut mine off. so that I can actually talk to people.
Yours
but
was something.
yeah,
Oh, what an excuse just some guy just made. How is the chat preventing you from talking? Unless there are endless amounts of spam, a bunch of bots, or people doxing other people, there really isn't much of a reason to turn off your chat. It's not preventing you from talking at all. We're about to get the real reason here in a second.
yeah. Well, it's right wingers. They lose their
Yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Someone doesn't agree with them.
See? There it is. That was some projection right there. He claims that the right wingers lose their minds when someone disagrees with them. Isn't that exactly what he just did? He shut off his chat because he couldn't stand that they disagreed with him. It wasn't because he couldn't talk to the rest of the panel. You can still talk to the rest of the panel when the chat is disagreeing with you. This was just some lame excuse.
Yeah.
With the choking thing.
Right.
That
No,
one was so
and
weird, though. It looks so fake to
But
me.
that's what I was
It
gonna
looks
say.
set up.
But that's what I'm gonna say.
Tristan claims that the choking incident looked fake and was set up. First, why would Mr. Miller fake that? What would Mr. Miller have to gain from faking it? So he purposely gave himself bad press? Second, there is clearly a pattern of bad or criminal behavior from Mr. Miller, so that was clearly not fake.
I mean, we don't know what the circumstances are, and
True.
with Ezra Miller being at least a B-list star, there's some issues there of enablers who might be around
Oh,
the
yeah.
situation, so that what looks on the surface like, oh, they're friends. No, they might not be friends. Not those kind of friends. So we don't really.
Some guy mentions enablers. I actually agree with him on that point. There are definitely people enabling him. And the people enabling him are the people that are left-wing bootlickers like you, just some guy. By calling him by his imaginary pronouns, you are bowing to his wishes and doing what he tells you to do. There needs to be more people to tell him no. They need to tell him that his behavior is unacceptable. When you bow to him and call him by his imaginary pronouns, he is going to think that he can do whatever he wants because there is nobody to tell him no.
Was it Ezra staying with him?
Yeah. So Ezra's kind of like I would consider Ezra like compared to like a gypsy, right? Like I don't think that they spend money on hotels. I think they just couch surf, right?
It's the Sage called Mr. Miller a gypsy. Some people consider gypsy a racial slur, and you can tell that they know this by the gasp and laugh you heard. So, it's okay for them to use the racial slur gypsy, but it's not okay to call non-binary people by the correct binary pronouns. I want to say that I don't care that they use the word gypsy, I'm just pointing out their hypocrisy.
With the sheer number of Marvel films out there, you would expect, if this was just normal Hollywood stuff, to see the same thing on the Marvel side, and they have much more output and have far fewer of those things. I mean, Shuri's an anti-vaxxer. That's pretty much the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. Right?
Again, just like just some guy, Leanna is making a terrible comparison. Being an anti-vaxxer is not even close to being a criminal serial assaulter. Also, Liana sees being an anti-vaxxer as being very bad. Having a different opinion than you about the vaccine is not a crime, Liana. Don't treat it like it is. Also, what does she mean by anti-vaxxer? Is she against the vaccine, or is she against the vaccine mandates? Because there is a huge difference. The left like to conflate the two.
Some sort of cultural issue at Warner Brothers, and maybe part of the reason Ezra Miller is the way he is because of how abusive the Justice League shoot was. Who knows?
Yeah, I never even considered that. That's a really good point, but like
how abusive the Justice League shoot was. I rolled my eyes at that one. Actors have the easiest job in the world. They get paid millions of dollars to play pretend. The hardest thing that would be in their job to do would be stunts or having very long hours. Otherwise, it's very easy. For anyone to call that abusive is absurd. Ray Fisher complained about being called names. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. Get back to work and play pretend. Also notice that Liana called Ezra he. You didn't use his preferred pronouns, Liana.
Maybe part of the reason Ezra Miller is the way he is because
Remember that it was Liana who, in the beginning of this video, told us that we have to call Ezra by they, them. And later on in this video, you will see that she scolds us for not using his preferred pronouns, when it's clear that she can't even follow her own rules. The left are massive hypocrites. You can kiss my posterior with your pronoun rules that you don't even follow yourself, Liana.
And then they just ordered a I don't know if you guys saw, but they just ordered an Aqualad movie.
Really?
that's interesting.
Yeah, I know.
With real Aqualad or
Yeah, live
Black
action.
Aqualad? Aqualad,
I can't
Garth
think of his
Aqualad,
name.
or
The
the
black one or the white one is
Jackson
what you
Hyde. Jackson Hyde.
Okay.
The one from Young Justice. He transferred over.
Okay.
I loved how just some guy was trying to tiptoe that. It's like, it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
I'm black. I
Oh,
can
no,
say
I'm
it.
not-
Black
I'm
or
not
white
trying-
guy.
I'm not trying to tiptoe about it because one of them is Aqualad and the other one is a random replacement.
I love this. It's off topic, but it's hilarious. Even Just Some Guy admits that these token, minority, redundant, mantle-stealing characters are fake inferior characters and are only used to be woke and to virtue signal. And it's stupid when someone says Aqualad and the next person has to ask, which Aqualad? There used to be a time when you talked about superheroes, and when you mentioned their superhero name, people knew who you're talking about. Now there are so many mantle stealers, it makes things so confusing. And Tristan, a DC expert, who usually, for some reason, champions these token, minority, redundant, mantle-stealing, fake inferior characters, struggles to even remember his name.
But I need to figure out which one it is because I don't know what Warner Brothers is doing. I mean, Jason Momoa does not look like Aquaman.
Right.
All right,
But
he is the
the
black.
funny thing.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the funny thing. I knew it was going to be the black one just because they're doing this thing where they need to just get as many people of color characters on the screen. So they were going to go with the black.
See, even Saggy admits that she knows that all this diversity crap is just a woke trend. When given the choice between the superior original character and the token, minority, redundant, mantle-stealing, fake, inferior, sloppy seconds character, Hollywood will always pick the token, minority, redundant, mantle-stealing, fake, inferior, sloppy seconds character. Why? Not because the characters are popular, not because they are interesting characters, not because there is a good story to tell with them. It's all because it's a trend, and the studio can virtue signal, be woke, and pat themselves on the back. It's to impress their peers, not the audience.
Well, I was just going to say, too, before we... I guess I would like with the Ezra thing, the only thing I really would end on that is, like, I do hope they get the help they need. I think that this might be the end for Ezra as far as playing the Flash, at least.
I agree with you.
Yeah, because your mental health is always going to be worth more than any amount of money you can make in the industry, and I think that's the best thing for Ezra to do. And I think Warner Brothers should really just like put their foot down and be like, you need help. Give them an intervention. They need it.
I agree with Saggy that Mr. Miller needs help, although I disagree on how to give him that help that he needs. As my dad would say, he needs a swift kick in the pants. Metaphorically, of course. He needs someone to tell him that they are tired of all his BS and he needs to knock it off. Mr. Miller needs some tough love. He needs someone to knock some sense into him. Metaphorically, of course.
Yeah, they're troubled. It is possible to be troubled and also bratty.
I actually agree with Lana this time. Mr. Miller is a straight-up spoiled brat. But the problem is that it's people like Liana who are spoiling him. Simply by calling him by his imaginary pronouns, you are spoiling him, Liana.
And then
did
you see the clan video he did?
Oh, that was
so weird.
I knew something was up, though. I knew something was up. Something like, you don't do that unprovoked.
Well, it wasn't unprovoked. there was an attack in I forget where, and a house got burned down. But still, it just the whole video was completely, I would say, out of character. But I don't know that necessarily classifies now that we've seen what he's become, at least.
Tristan, from what I've learned about the case, it was never proven that the KKK burned down that house. Like many people on the left, Tristan and Mr. Miller have been fooled into thinking that there is an epidemic of racist crimes in America. That is a lie. America is so not racist, people have to fake racist crimes. Again, this proves that the media is the enemy of the public.
Have
I-
you watched many interviews?
No,
That's
no.
because I'm not familiar with outside of that one instance with Gal Gadot where it was like I want to bash the patriarchy or something like that, whatever that was. That's pretty much the only interview I've seen. So I don't know how Ezra Miller is just talking to people kind of casually. I haven't
Well, I
watched
know.
Bash the patriarchy. This proves what I've been saying. Leftism is ruining Mr. Miller's brain. Someone needs to get this far left ideology out of Mr. Miller's head. That would make him happier and less violent. That would keep the rest of us safe from his left wing ideology fueled violent assaults.
I haven't
Well, I
watched
know.
him to see
He
how-
offered to show one of the interviewers his crossbow. He's like, "You want to see it?"
Yeah,
Hey,
I
wait,
don't,
did you what?
I don't think Ezra Miller does casual.
Yeah.
They're pretty intense.
That would be me
I-
like, yo, I got this crossbow, y'all. You want to see it? It's huge.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
I
Actually seems to be the most normal thing I've heard from Mr. Miller. Crossbows are cool. I would have liked to have seen it. Crossbows are also masculine. It would help him to get away from the feminine left-wing ideology. Then again, it's probably best to keep a lethal weapon away from a violent, raving lunatic like Mr. Miller.
I agree with Saggy. Ezra Miller career right now is not the priority. Human is the priority, and
The way Liana speaks and her vocabulary is so annoying to me. Human is the priority. Jesus help me. She sounds like a left-wing feminist commie caveman. Human is priority. And don't get me started on her Canadian accent. It's so annoying to me.
and the people getting mad that we're using they them pronouns in a
I
chat.
know.
When someone is as troubled as Ezra Miller obviously is, you handle them gently and you call them what they want to be called.
Liana cannot be more wrong about this. She said herself that Mr. Miller is a spoiled brat, and her solution is to spoil him even more and call him by his imaginary pronouns. She is contradicting herself. She must know that you can't cure a spoiled brat by spoiling them even more. If a child is misbehaving, you don't reward them by bowing to their wishes and doing what they say. As HB said, if someone is schizophrenic, you don't tell them that the voices in their head are real and that they should do what they tell them to do. By the way, credit to you if you know who HB is.
There's not being politically correct, and then there's just torturing someone who is already tortured, and the least we could
Torturing. Treating Mr. Miller like the adult that he supposedly is and not using his imaginary pronouns is torturing him? Well, Liana actually sees Mr. Miller as a child and wants to treat him like a child. Amazing.
the least we can do is just respect their pronoun choices, knowing they may change back at some point. But I just think that
Respect is earned, not given. Mr. Miller and these non-binary people have not earned my respect. First, Mr. Miller is a violent, repeat criminal. I don't respect criminals unless they pay their debt to society, and Mr. Miller has not. Second, non-binary people have disrespected God by not abiding by his rules of there only being two sexes. They disrespect science for the same reason. They disrespect thousands of years of rules in our society and history. Some people may say, well, there are societies that had two spirit peoples or whatever. That is their society. That is not ours. It is not mine. And Mr. Miller is not part of that society either. If he wants to be a part of our society, that means playing by our rules and using our language correctly. If he doesn't want to be part of our society, he can go and create his own. Non-binary people disrespect the English language itself because of what I just said. And non-binary people disrespect me and my religion by demanding that I lie and I call them the sex that they are not. They demand that I sin to respect them. I refuse to sin for anyone. Non-binary people are gaslighters. They try to get you to believe something that is not true. They remind me of the villain in the Star Trek TNG two-part episode called The Chain of Command. In that episode, Picard is captured by the Cardassians. He is tortured physically and mentally. The main villain is desperate to break Picard. He tries to gaslight Picard and have him tell the Cardassians that there are 5 lights when in fact there are 4, but Picard refuses to give in and lie. Non-binary people are the same as that villain. They want us to think that there are more than 2 sexes when there are only 2 sexes. They want us to call them by their imaginary pronouns when we know that those pronouns are incorrect. Unfortunately, non-binary people have managed to gaslight about half of this country. The good thing is that there are still enough people who are like Picard and won't let them gaslight us.
But there is a decency element, and calling people what they want to be called is something we can all model, so we can all be called what we want to be called.
Okay, Liana, I want you to call me Lord and Master. Will you call me Lord and Master? If you want to be consistent in your views and not be a hypocrite, you will call me Lord and Master. But since you are a hypocrite, you won't call me Lord and Master.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah,
as
I
opposed
don't.
to- yeah.
I don't get what is so offensive about that, but that's fine.
Since you are a bootlicker, Tristan, and you bow to the far left, I don't suppose you will understand why people don't want to lie and want to stand up for themselves and don't want to let themselves be gaslit. So there you have it. Just some guy, Tristan, and the panel treat Mr. Miller like a child and they enable his delusions. And when they enable his delusions, he will continue his violent criminal behavior. The only way to truly help him is to give him a swift kick in the pants. Metaphorically, of course. Anyway, again, I have nothing against this panel. I pray that they will change their views. This will be my last of my series in the Just Some Guy Bad Takes, at least about this stream. I'm Alpha Eagle. God bless you for watching, and may God bless America.